Without further ado, welcome everyone to our EdTech Humber launch. So this is an EdTech hub for our region. Now, it is, with it being sort of brand new, and we have been working really hard on the ambassadors and the developer, which we're going to introduce you today. They've been working really hard on getting this sort of off the ground, but really the hub is only it's only going to be successful based on the people and the personalities and the experiences and the skills that everyone in our region can bring to this. So
is that there is a power in a community of practice, teachers helping teachers. It is, and I've worked on the EdTech demonstrator for its first year, a programme funded by England's Department for Education, who themselves, I would argue, are a little late to digital learning, way behind Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland. So I think that's just worth bearing in mind as we discuss these issues. And the big idea is to set up a series, a national network of EdTech hubs, looking at the priorities in those particular regions. So at 4:30 this afternoon, we launched the Greater Manchester EdTech Hub, a hub that will cover a geographical area of the Greater Manchester Combined Authority. But you won't be surprised that Humber is the first. And it comes, I have to say, from the energy of Wilberforce Sixth Form College, the kind of clarity of thinking about what does your region, what does that region need in terms of grasping future opportunities. And we believe it is going to be that combination of EdTech in schools and digital skills and the understanding of what digital skills can do, not only for a person or an educator or an institution, but also what it can do for a region.
Well, we'll get to Antonio in a second, but without further ado, I'd like to introduce, so I'm going to start with a video that our ambassadors and developer have produced, and then there'll be an opportunity for them to introduce themselves like live in person. I mean, how crazy is that?
Hi guys, I'm Lewis. I am the music performance teacher at Wilberforce College, and I'm also the EdTech ambassador at Wilberforce College. And it is now my job to help you implement EdTech tools and EdTech technology easier and more efficiently and more creatively in your classrooms.
Hi everyone, my name is Patrick Leonard. I'm an IT teacher here at Wilberforce College. I've recently become the EdTech developer at the college, and I'm looking forward to really getting stuck into this role. I'm really hoping to help with the rollout of IT across the college campus, to help the students have an enriched and fulfilling student experience, to utilise a range of technologies to help us to do that. And as I say, I'll be using and getting familiar with and getting better, hopefully, using software such as Microsoft Power BI, Power Apps, and Power Automate.
Hi there, my name is Will and I'm a teacher of business here at John Leggett College in Scunthorpe. Over the last year, we've obviously seen rapid adoption of EdTech tools and the creation of hybrid learning environments to aid in teaching and learning continuity and opening access to learning for our students, whatever their current situation may be. So, why am I so excited about EdTech? Well, we've experienced a number of challenges along the journey so far, but we've also reaped a range of new benefits to help us move forward. Technology in education is not going to disappear and will only ever grow and advance. We've seen how effective EdTech employment can aid in subject progression of knowledge, skills and learning behaviours, and offers us new and exciting ways to evidence classwork and coursework assignments. All of this coming together builds a greater experience and builds the digital skills and awareness of our students, ready for the ever-changing world of industry.
Hi, I'm Nick Jennings from Franklin College in Grimsby. I'm Assistant Head of the Business Department and also a TLA Lead, and most recently EdTech Ambassador for Franklin College. In terms of my expertise, I'm an expert in sort of Google platforms, Google Classroom, Google Meet, Jamboard, breakout rooms and anything Google orientated really. I'm currently studying some qualifications in Google as well, level 1 and level 2, just to gain a little bit of a further insight, and that allows me to go into schools and colleges as well and help them set up Google platforms.
At the moment, tech, like Ty mentioned, it's so disaggregated, and there really isn't a lot of political force behind it to make it move in the direction that it needs to be. A really simple example of this is, if you have a student who accesses the majority of their learning via digital means, then they actually have the justification to demand their assessments are done digitally. But to do that, they'll put them on an old Windows XP type locked down computer where they can only access Notepad. They can't access OneNote and Jamboard and all these sorts of creative tools that they might need to actually get across their knowledge, their experience and their expertise. So it's really backwards, and what we've got to figure out is a way that we can get together as a group to first of all solve problems in our region with regards to digital disadvantage and accessibility and all the sorts of things that brings about, but then use us as a force because we are strong, we've got a lot of backing, the actual infrastructure in the region is pretty good. What can we do to change and to form networks with wider people? So I haven't intentionally talked about the key things that I've put on the board there, because that's not what this session is about. Really, it's about sort of what we can do as the next steps and how we can move forward. So what we have done is we've set up we've set up a Twitter, a website which we'll show you later in this session, and a TikTok, which I think, to be honest, I think the TikTok is going to be the thing. So the ambassadors, the developers are all got access to all of these platforms, and they're going to be using those to just raise the profile of everyone in the Humber region. This isn't just about Wilberforce.
That's kind of what founded Tech Expo Humber and Tech Week Humber, on the back of actually we need to engage with more learners. We need to sort of inspire the future generation into IT and into tech. So we set up in 2019. Our first event was actually held at the Bonus Arena in Hull. Very successful. We had over 2,000 people, and half of them were learners from all over the city, and it was a fantastic event. So we hope that actually by having such an event, we could actually get more students to think about careers in technology and in innovation, but also to get businesses involved, because the employer engagement aspect is quite important. As you probably all know, innovation and technology is moving at such a pace that we all can't keep up with it. Every other day, there's a new thing coming out. So how can the education system really keep up with that? So we wanted to create an event which was not just a regional event, but a global event that we could invite students and schools and learners and businesses together to really see how we can inspire the next generation, to showcase innovation. So it's been very successful. We've worked with fantastic global tech companies. I mean, I can name all the top 5 tech companies in the world, such as Amazon, Google, IBM, Microsoft, Oracle. So we work with all of them. And the hope is that the education institution can really get involved and get on board with this and actually work with us to show this, to give this opportunity to the learners to access this event. And although it is held once a year, we want to have almost series of events throughout the year so that we always have access to the latest things that happen when it comes to innovation and technology, but also almost map the career path of a learner of actually, what do you want to do? Where do you want to go? Because there's so many new jobs that are coming out of tech, so many new technologies coming out. So to give them the access to have things that are happening on demand is kind of our vision, but also the salaries in itself, the really well-paid jobs. It could be life-changing to some of the areas that we work with. I mean, working quite closely with Wilberforce College and all that, we got so many deprived areas in the city and across the region that if one of these learners goes and gets a job in IT or in tech, it's life-changing.
So basically what we've done is we've set up this website as maybe a landing page to get people access into the team, which is where we would see a lot of the collaboration and the culture emerging. So the way that the website works, what we would hope is when you join, and literally to join, you would just click join the hub. It takes you to a very simple form that Patrick has set up for us. That enables you to just basically fill in an expression of interest. And what we would see is that basically this list here would end up with every single institution that wants to work. And the way we would like it to be is that the pages that you land on will be what are our digital strengths and what are our aspirations, that sort of thing, but also what we would like help with. And then the idea is that different to the demonstrator program where it's literally us working with individuals, this is more about forming those cross connections.
Exactly. So just to explain a little bit what Jonathan referred to when talking about the tweet meets, this was an initiative that started in 2016 and lasted until the summer of 2020. So I was involved in setting those tweet meets up for 4 years, and every month I invited roughly 20 people from around the world to be trained by me and my staff in multiple tools to improve their learning. And I was funded by Microsoft Education, so as you can probably imagine, there were quite a few Microsoft tools involved, but we also used other EdTech tools such as Wakelet and even Flipgrid before it became a Microsoft product. Anyway, so what we did was we coached those 20 people from around the world to collaborate with each other, no matter what language they spoke. We had a multilingual group, and then at the end of the month, we would get together for a 1-hour conversation on Twitter in which those 20 people who had been trained by us during the 3 weeks before would answer questions around the topic that people were interested in. For example, in accessibility or inclusion, of course, which is, you know, kind of related to one another, but also about game-based learning or about remote teaching and learning and so forth. And those were the tweet meets that Jonathan is referring to, and they were groundbreaking and have helped a lot of people to find their own space and also help others to build up their professional skills. So we basically passed on our skills onto multiple people at a time, and they would do their share to pass these skills on to others. And that has spread like wildfire. It was a very popular initiative.
Works with Nick. So Gary, would you like to say a few words? I love your background. This is the way it is at Franklin at the moment. Students must have left today.
They have, yeah. It's our taster days today. So so I'm just sort of trying to be happy and bright and enthusiastic. Yeah. So hi there. Yeah, it's like I say, it's been a real privilege to work across with Jonathan and also Jamie and Legger. And again, just like to support, this idea of collaboration, and without sort of working alongside with Jonathan, and getting on board with all this, I think we'd still be back in the sort of dark ages when it comes to tech. So it's a real, eye opener for me, because I've been teaching for 27 years, and I'm one of those that, when I first started teaching, it was cut and paste, and photocopy. I wasn't, do you know what I mean? And so how that's evolved, and even my own development as a teacher and taking on board the tech, and I can see the advantages of it. And like I say, linking to the students and the progression opportunities and the skills that they can develop is really crucial for me. And like I say, my background is sport as well, so and sort of embracing the technology in sport at the moment, which is absolutely phenomenal with all the VAR and the cameras, and being able to integrate that into my own practice as well is really, really exciting. So I'd just like to say I'm really enthusiastic and excited about this project, and thanks very much for getting us involved.
No problem. And Bill, is it okay if I share directly into this chat the documents that you passed me through the Microsoft team? They are openly on your website, but I did mention we have to be extremely polite.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah,
that'd be great. I'll send those. So these are bits and bobs from Forth Valley College where you are?
Forth Valley College, yes. So we're based in central Scotland, and I guess we started with our digital strategy in 2017 mainly because we were in the process of having a new campus built. And the idea then was, well, if we're going to build a new campus, let's make it a digital campus. So I guess that's where we were maybe a wee bit ahead of the game in terms of strategy. But there's elements there, I think, that you're doing with the EdTech Humber, where there's areas in Scotland where we're nowhere near that type of thing as well. So yeah. But I think our strategies, if you have a look at them, are fairly similar. I think ours was maybe a bit more wordy.
Mine started off being about, ask Gary, it started off being about 35 pages, and then it made its way down to the head's PA, and she was pretty brutal with it. Right, we don't need that, that's not a strategy, and then got rid of it. So I think as well, it's a lot easier to adopt if it just gets to the point. It took us a lot of time to reach the document that we've done, and Natalie, who's joining from Portsmouth, is similar in the sense that she's developing a discussion paper and things. Sometimes you just have to go through the process because you've got to get everyone on board. And there is an element of speeding it up, but you've got to, in the individual schools that we've got here, and also if you do, when you are watching the recording, it is all about engagement. It's about starting from the bottom, having those discussions. And yes, we can speed up the bit that ends up with the good looking document and the way that you can sell it and the training offered by the ambassadors to make sure your staff can deliver it. But really it's about ownership, and that's where we can't change people's values. And Ty mentioned earlier, Scotland are way ahead, Wales are way ahead. England does feel like the blob sometimes that learns from you guys and then cherry picks the best bits. But like a blob, it's quite maybe quite flexible. It doesn't move very fast. So I mean, Ty, you've been working to try and move the blob for years, haven't you? In your sort of role as a lobbyist. So I mean, if we want to come back to you, Ty, where do you sort of see the national sort of picture going? You've got a lot more experience. Obviously, you're working with Manchester later.
Gosh, I think it is particularly different all over the United Kingdom, and we've got to ask ourselves why Scotland. The conversation in Scotland. I mean, Bill, I've been up there. I've spoken at conferences. I've chatted to teachers. You can actually talk about digital learning in Scotland and Wales and Northern Ireland, and there's a strange kind of sense. We finally published in England a EdTech strategy in 2019, and someone jokingly said, I've tried to find the words teaching and learning in it, and they couldn't. That it was very kind of saving money focused. It was very much institutional focused, infrastructure focused. It wasn't actually beginning this journey about discovery of what digital can do, whether that's good or bad. And it seemed to me that we've got a real block here about, and I don't know whether it undermines the control of the Department for Education. I don't know whether they think that EdTech is child-centered and progressive. I've got all sorts of ideas, but they have been a block, and it's been really sad, John. I think in many ways we should have embraced this journey, and I think the issue with Wales and Scotland is that their digital strategies, their framework for digital, that's all the strategy is. The resourcing is different. The ability Scottish people remind us that that independence of action comes from education devolution.
So is any I suppose it's a really difficult question. Any more immediate methods or any immediate advice that we can do as a digital strategy to further tackle digital poverty?
Ty can take that. We're working with the London Grid for Learning, the National Grid for Learning, and Ty, if you want to sort of just talk about the Chromebooks and the sort of at-cost devices that we're going to access.
Lewis, I think it's a really important question. So this chat, I was in this, there's about 15 of us chatting about Greater Manchester with the Mayor, the future of Greater Manchester. And he literally said, it used to be item 8. and it now needs to be item one. It's almost as though we didn't want to admit that digital poverty existed, how corrosive it was, all those things that I said earlier. And I think, you know, we've just got to be getting our investment heads around this, that you've got to make a kind of institutional case, yeah, that actually investing, why do you want to invest in digital? And I think one of the best tasks that the hub can do is probably share the lessons of how you persuade an institution to change its investment practices, how it can be cost effective to invest, just like you said, in digital devices, infrastructure, what it actually means. And I think working with LGFL, their Bridge the Divide scheme, I mean, you're talking about mass procurement, big procurement that can drive down costs, for instance, of Chromebooks to their really attractive prices. So you've got to show solutions. Leasing as well, I think it has an attraction, but I think it's about, again, what Andy Burnham said. It's making the access to devices a quality issue, and not being afraid to talk about it. That if you can't have access to the digital economy, like Antonio says, then, you know, actually you're going to be, it's disabling, isn't it? I think that's the way to see it. And then also, and John hinted at this, and it's complex, is the issue of what we call joint procurement or smart procurement. Now, imagine imagine all of the spend in the Humber region on technology. Yeah, is it always spent wisely? Is it always spent on the best things? Can we actually bring our procurement? This is a lot of money still. Yeah, can we actually invest in better ways across multiple institutions? And I think we can. And I think what the Bridge of the Divide, this National Grid for Learning, London Grid for Learning project has revealed is that you can buy millions, you can invest millions by aggregating up procurement. And that, I think, it's complex. I'm not an expert, but I think just common sense tells you that it can be done. And also, I think what I meant by being unashamedly political with a small p is that we've got to get out talking to the decision makers. You can't have kids gathering around McDonald's because their Wi-Fi is faster than their Wi-Fi at home. You can't in this day and age. We all know that. And often, I have to remind you, it is educators that are a conscience. Educators are the conscience of society, and sometimes we're a little bit defensive. Sometimes we sink into our institutions a little bit. We put up the drawbridge, but actually this is not for educators to sort out on their own. This is a responsibility of a modern progressive society, that you cannot have digital poverty in this day and age.
I mean, you think about it, it's a no-brainer. EE just says, right, everyone's 4G is free up until the age of 16. Well, they're going to have massive amount of customers in 3 years' time. But that's the sort of thing that we can lobby. We've got a monopoly in Hull with KCOM, but we can lobby them. Let's get on it. Let's work on it. The more people that are in the hub, the more power we've got. We sort of form like, which is what Ty alluded to. I think this DFE are worried about these unionised sort of groups of people, but I wouldn't worry about that too much, because it'll help us get what we want. So Rebecca's put something. Will we be opening this up to outside of schools and colleges? Yeah, I think the purpose of the hub is to not be constrained by anything in terms of funding and things like that. So it's something that we're doing at low cost, although it looks good. And thank Patrick for the website on that. Phenomenal amount of work. I mean, I said to Ty, we need some investment for a website, and he said just put one on Squarespace, and I was like, you what? And then Patrick has just put that together in a matter of weeks. So phenomenal, and thank you for that. But yeah, we will open this out to anyone, and Antonio's got loads of business contacts. We'd encourage you to be adding businesses. So what we'll probably have is businesses and educational institutions in that drop down, and that helps everyone meet the Gatsby benchmarks. It helps improve employability. We like to use the term employerability, at college rather than employability, because we like to think of our students leaving and setting up their own businesses.
Hello everyone, welcome. I'm just dipping in here really, just as obviously the principal of college, just to sort of give my 2 pence if it's worth it as to where we're at and why we feel that this is so important as a college. I think clearly through COVID and through the work that's taken place in supporting through our DFE demonstrator, etc., some great stuff's happened, but you know, that was then. It's like, what is the future? And I think the big thing for us as a college is we recognise that we serve communities that need support. Clearly, that's not just the students, that's families as well. And we do it because it's the right thing to do. That's the big message here. And as a college, we really want to be a hub to keep that work going forward. And we see that through this, we can actually make sure, as a regional approach, we cater for the students, the parents, the families in this area, to improve the skills of those people, the learning and their experience. And that is the whole reason why this is a very exciting opportunity. We're really looking forward to what this can be, and we know it can be something really great, to be honest. And it's great that we've been recognised as somebody in this region that can help with that work, but we're not elitist in that. We see that as being, yes, we will help and lead and coordinate, and we've got people who are involved from the college's point of view who want to push that forward, but we see that everybody pushes it forward together. So I don't know if I've kind of articulated it, but it's a really exciting opportunity that I'm fully behind. My senior team are, my governors are, and all of the staff at the college, and some of the work that Louise and Patrick have already been doing and will continue to do. I have full confidence in the fact that we can deliver something great together.
For everyone, thank you for everyone who's joined today. Really phenomenal engagement, and humbled to be sort of part of this. If you do want to join, just go to the website, fill in the form, and we'll see where it goes. So thanks for everyone for coming. See you later.
Congratulations, Jonathan and team, and thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome, Magdalene. Thank you very much. See ya.
Bye-bye.